Yeah. Well, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Dr.Derren.com. I am Dr. Derren. This is my lovely wife and co-host, Lady Chalon. She don't talk an awful lot. But we're going to jump right in to get started. Let's just understand a little bit about why we're here. First of all, we want to just kind of take a minute to thank you um, for being here, number one, and then for number two, for just rolling with us. We've been getting tremendous feedback from several of you discussing how much you have appreciated our podcast. And so I want to thank you for joining. Our sole purpose is to assist couples so that couples will last, so that couples will survive. We recognize already, and we've been discussing this, that marriage is difficult. And so we want to make sure that persons who are married, whether you've been married for 10 minutes, 10 years, 20 years, that you have the tools that you need. So I want to acknowledge that we've been getting tremendous feedback. I want to acknowledge that first. And then secondly, I want to just tell you that because we recognize the feedback, we appreciate the feedback, we're listening. And so I'll share at the end of our time together today, I'll share a little bit about where it is that we will be going, and some of the things that you can look forward to. Do me a favor, feel free to chat. We are live, and so feel free to chat. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. If anything that we say agree with you, that's awesome. And then I also want to throw out this caveat that the views and opinions expressed on Dr.Derren.com are our views. It's what we have dealt with and what has allowed us to have 24 great years together. So, take everything that we say with a grain of salt. Don't try to sue us if you do what we say and then stuff just don't work out. These views are our views only. And so I want to share that. All right. So I want to jump in because for those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. And when we were together the last time, we talked about tips for handling conflict. And I'm so glad that went over really well. Many of you have reached out to say, hey, we're figuring it out. We're trying to really figure out how to manage through. And so we wanted to just thank you for that. So we appreciate that. Why are we here? Because 50% of all marriages are ending in divorce. And we've decided that we want to stop that we want to just do our part to make sure that not another marriage will end in divorce on our watch. I've already shared with you that 41% of first-time marriages, 41. We're not going to share the statistics. Come on, let's just jump in. So tonight we're talking about. I received an interesting phone call from a very good friend of mine who said, "I really don't know what to do. I'm married. I love my spouse." I'm gonna say that. I'm not gonna say whether the person is male or female. I'm gonna just say this person loved their spouse, but they said that they just couldn't trust them. They were having trouble trusting their spouse. And the more I thought about that, the more I realized there's so many people who, for one reason or another, they're in situations where things have happened and now they just decided that they just can't trust each other. So we wanted to just kind of talk about it for a minute. We wanted to just kind of get your thoughts about what it is that you think and how you feel about it. But the information that I shared with my friend was that I try to give them some things to practice and some things to work on. And so I want to just throw it out there that if you've been married for a minute, there probably been some things that happened that you was just like, if I'm constantly calling and you're not answering the phone, if every time you come home, your phone stays with you and you can't even go to the bathroom without your phone, and I go to pick up your phone and you have codes on the phone that I don't know, and I at some point I may begin to ask some questions. Is it anything that you're hiding? There's some people that go even farther than that, and when you say that you're going to be at this place, they're driving over to that place to see if in fact you're where you say that you are. And when your car is not there, it leaves the door open for questions to be asked. And so we wanted to just kind of give you some tools today to help you as you are working through, as you're kind of trying to figure this thing out. Let me let you off the hook that when I say you're trying to figure this thing out, there's some people that's been married for 15 years and they're still trying to figure it out. There's some people married 20 years and they still trying to figure it out. And so the entire time that you're married, you're going to be trying to figure some things out. And so let yourself off the hook if you feel like, you know what, I thought I knew this person and this don't seem like. No, you're going to be 20 years in and still learning things, because remember, when the two become one, they become one, and we're constantly learning some things. So there will be some times when trust will need to be reestablished, when there may be trust issues and the trust has been broken, and then you're trying to figure out, what do I need to do to kind of get back. We deal with and speak with and coach and counsel with couples all the time, and many of them come to the table and they have frustrations because they just don't know what's going on. One of the interesting things with Chalon and I is that when we were dating, Chalon established with me very early on that two things that is important to me, and trust and loyalty is huge. And so if we gonna do this thing, I need to be able to trust you. I need to be able I need to be real clear that you are where you say you are, and that you're gonna do what it is that you say that you're gonna do. So remember, the trust doesn't just happen. We learn how to trust each other just based on how it is that we kind of deal with each other. Now, a lot of times when you say trust, many times people will automatically think that you're talking about something that has to do with infidelity, or something that has to do, with something like that. But that doesn't necessarily have to be a thing, because sometimes you just not doing what you said that you're going to do could be reasons for persons to trust you. If you say that, you know what, put the money in the joint account and I'm paying the bills, and somebody's calling you on the phone saying, hey, this bill isn't paid. Now I'm questioning, can I really trust you at this level? Because sometimes I will trust you at a level and you're not there. If I'm really in a stressful place, or if I'm in a place where I really need you mentally and emotionally and spiritually, and I find that I'm having to look for all of that in other places, then I begin to ask myself the question, what in the world is happening here? And so a lot of times, if you are the kind of person, and men deal with this, a lot of times men are not overly expressive. And so while it's not that we're really trying to hold anything back, sometimes I get people that will oftentimes say, they holding stuff back. I got to pull stuff out of them. And it could be that it's not that there's a trust issue. It really could just be that they just don't talk like that, and they don't communicate. And so another thing is catching you in a lie. If I catch you in a lie and you're lying, one of the things I used to always say is, lie to me if I ask you to lie to me. But don't just, what we used to call an unsolicited lie. Don't just, lie to me just for the sake of lying. Some people, you've been lying all your life. And because you've been lying all your life, you brought that lying tongue into your relationship. And that's one of the things that just won't that leads to me not trusting you, or some trust issues. So I've been talking for a minute, so now I'm going to let my lovely wife just kind of give her introductory statement, and just kind of talk a little bit about what she wants to talk about as it relates to how to rebuild trust. And then we're going to jump in. We're going to give you some points. We're going to go and look at the chat to see what's happening in chat. And I don't want y'all to be quiet today. I want y'all to chat and tell us what's going on. So, babe, what you think?
Well, I think one of the things that we need to look at is actually before we even start rebuilding trust, we have to understand what trust really means, and that is just um, feeling committed in your relationship to your partner, um, feeling safe with your partner, and that they'll respect you, your physical and emotional boundaries. Knowing how to listen when your partner is communicating with you. Um, you don't hide things from your partner. Um, I hear friends talk about all the time, oh, well, I leave the bags in the trunk, after they've gone shopping. If we discuss we're going to save, we're not going to spend, they go shopping, they hide the bags, sneak them in the house. That's part of trusting your partner. Um, and respect is a big thing. I really think that.
You don't leave clothes in the trunk, shoes and stuff in the
Mm-mm.
trunk that you wasn't supposed to be buying.
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, never had to do that.
Okay.
And then another thing that you have to be mindful of that when you feel like you trust your partner is that you support each other. Knowing those things going in before we can rebuild trust, we have to understand what trust is. And trust is just not, believing that your partner won't, like Pastor Dr. Derren said, um, cheat on you, because trust has so many facets to it. That can be broken and emotional, and that's part of it as well.
Very good. Very good. So listen, so we're going to jump into the points. We have 4 points. But look, this is what I need you to do. I need you to share this, send somebody a message. You already know 4 or 5 people that can't trust their spouse that might need to jump on this feed. So go ahead and share this with them. Send it to somebody and be like, look, you need to jump on because we're going to jump in. And I definitely want to hear from you different situations and tell me how you were able to, how were you able to rebuild trust? Because, there's some people that if you cross me off one time, I feel like you doing something, then I'm done with you. I don't want to have to deal with that. And so that's huge. And so when you're married to somebody and you're in a relationship with somebody, you want to make sure that when I speak, you're able to hear my voice, that I'm really, I'm really interested in what it is that you have to say. And so Chalon talked a little bit about the definition of trust, and I simplify it even more, that when I trust you, it just means that I believe in you, that I really believe that the person that I share marriage with, I ought to be able to just kind of trust them with it all and not have to feel like, there might be some things. So some of the things that I shared with my friend about learning to trust, the first question I asked was, does your spouse know that you have these trust issues? Sometimes you could not trust them, and you ain't never said to them, you know what, we having some problems. So let's jump in, baby. Let's jump in and let's hit the points. Let's just kind of jump in and just kind of hit the points. So the first thing we're going to talk about, if you are trying to rebuild trust, that means means that you're doing it again. So there used to be trust there. And so now the trust was broken. And so now you're having to build it up again. It's kind of like when I build something up and then something happens, and what I built up and what I thought was on a very firm foundation, it's not as firm as I thought. And so now what I built up is crushed down. And so now I'm left to ask some questions like, was it really important? So if you found out that somebody lied to you, so the first thing I really want to know is, why are we here? Why are we at this place where you just lied to me? I just asked you where you were, and you told me that you were at one place, and I already knew. It's kind of like with our children. Sometimes, do you ever ask your children a question and you already know the answer to it, but you're asking them the question because you're just trying to see if you all have trust there? One of the things with my kids I appreciate, at least I think that they do, but a lot of times they will tell me the honest truth. They know that I'm a get with them, but they tell me the truth because I've asked them. One of the things that I can't stand is a lie, an unsolicited lie. Don't lie to me, because then I have to figure out what else have you lied about. So if you're trying to rebuild trust, have you ever considered the why? Why was there infidelity in the first place? Why did you lie to me in the first place? Why do you constantly go back on your word? You tell me that we're going to do this on Saturday, but somebody calls, and then that becomes more important than I am. And so why is it? And so now I can't trust you. So I need to just consider, and we went back and forth. As we were working through the points, we went back and forth, and we was like, well, is it really important that I know why you hurt me to my core? Do I really need to know why you hurt me? And Chalon was like, no, we really need to talk about that. So talk a little bit about why is it important to consider the why?
I think that's important because it might be some other issues going on. If something is going awry in your finances, understanding why didn't you pay the bill? Why am I getting a phone call? Was there an emergency, with a family member that you felt the need to assist with, when all of this could have been avoided had we just talked about it prior to? But understanding the why, even though you might not even, you might be so hurt you don't even care at that point. But I think that understanding why is key to rebuilding trust, so that we can both learn from the mistake that happened, and it won't be repeated. Understanding why it could simply be a result of miscommunication. Um, your spouse not really understanding what you need. That is, well, I don't want to go too far into that because
So
that
that's
leads
good.
into one
Yeah,
of our
that
other.
leads into the next point, but that's good, and I don't want to run away from that because there's some people that's watching now live, or some people that's watching the rewatch. That's at a place now where they're just like, you know what? I know I've messed up. Some people have messed up, maybe with other relationships, and they think that the spouse don't even know it, and because they've never articulated, but the spouse probably already knows. And so the question that really faces that couple at this hour is, why did I feel the need to go out and to not be faithful to my spouse? Why did I feel the need to lie? Is it because um, the way in which you talk to your partner, your spouse, the way that you talk to them, it's easier for them to go and to cry on somebody else's shoulders because you spending so much time managing and dealing with everybody else's issue. Now, does that excuse somebody for going outside of their marriage? Please, sir, please, ma'am, don't hear me say that it's an excuse, but I need to understand, why did you do it? Because one of the things that one of my mentors said years ago, and I still stand on that, is that a lesson not learned from will always be repeated. And so if I don't learn the lesson because I don't understand, so I need to understand, why did I do what I did? Why is it easier for me to just lie to you than to tell you the truth? Why is it easy for me to manipulate the circumstance and manipulate the situation than to just tell the truth? Hey, I messed up. Hey, look, I know I told you that I was going to bring food home, but I got caught up. I know I told you that I paid all of the bills, but I just didn't want you to lose faith in me. So I paid 50% of the bills, but then there was some new Jordans that was coming out, and I spent the gas and electric money on the new Jordans. While I will be upset, but what that will do, it helps me down the road to know that maybe you aren't the best person to manage our bills. So we really need to consider, why did you do what you did, and is this going to be something that you are going to continue to do? Because if you've already made it up in your mind, see, when your mind is made up that this is what I'm going to do, and it kind of leads to some of the things that we've talked about in the past, that I really have to watch who it is that I hang out with. Because if I have people in my circle and they know that, you know what, it's real easy for me to just kind of jump over here and to just call, I got some preacher friends. They want their wives to think that they at Denny's eat, drinking coffee, and they want the other preachers to cover for them. I can't roll in those kind of circles. So some revivals I don't get invited to because I'm not interested in doing that stuff. So we got to consider Why are we here? Why are we at this place? Why did we find, I mean, and some people say, well, I'd rather just not know. Well, if that works for you, then you let that work for you. But I need to understand, because if I want to be better, do better, have better, then I really need to just kind of fix that. So if we're rebuilding, first thing I got to do is I've got to consider
I just want
the
to
why.
share also here. You brought it up, but I just wanted to reiterate that you need to be clear that what they did, it wasn't okay. But knowing the reasons behind it could help you.
I ain't saying it was okay.
No, you didn't. You
Oh,
said it's not okay, but I just want to say it again that what they did is not okay. But knowing the why behind it can help you decide how you're going to move forward and how you're going to begin that process of rebuilding trust.
yes, that was good. That was good. Thank you. All right. So consider the why. Consider the why. Any questions in two about that? No. All right, cool. So then number two, I've considered why, and now I have to communicate clearly. I have to be very clear in my communication what my expectation is. Because remember, if we're living our lives in agreement, we have agreed one with another that, you know what, we want this. See, I really have to kind of go back at the beginning of this. When I realized that there was a breach of trust, I have to kind of go back to say, you know what, are we rowing in the same direction? Am I rowing forward and then you going backward? Like, are we really still in this? I really need to have some interesting kinds of conversations, because I need to just ask the question, to do that says that there is a disconnect in our chain. And I don't want to have a missing link in my chain, because a missing link says that we're not going to get to our destined place at the same time. So something is off. Right. Something is missing. You ever go to the Chick-fil-A or the McDonald's and you get a Coke or a fruit punch, and you get in the car and you start driving off and you go to taste your beverage, and you found that the calibration was off, that the syrup to water ratio was off. And so now it leads for a horrible beverage now. So you have one or two choices. You either go back and tell them, fix your calibration, because I don't like drinking Coke that's not properly calibrated, or you just go ahead and run off. And then what happens is that the next time you come, you get an uncalibrated beverage, now you're three times mad, and so you're going to go off. Well, our relationship kind of works the same way. Right. The moment that you find out that there is something a little off, then you really need to do something. So you need to do something. You need to say something. You see something, you got to say something. And so a part of that communication is that we really need to pause. We need to put stop the presses. And we need to just decide, you know what, we need to have some time, some uninterrupted time that's scheduled, so that we can jump in and we can just say, hey, we have a problem here. Maybe I wasn't clear in my expectation, but I thought that we had agreed that we could trust each other. And I'm finding that, some things aren't right. So now I need to really communicate. We've understood now why that happened, but now we really need to talk about it now. As a part of the rebuilding trust situation, I'm reestablishing some trust. And when I'm reestablishing some trust, sometimes it's an uncomfortable situation for the person that violated the trust. And so if my partner is saying to me, hey, let's move on, but let's talk about this, they may kind of come up with a part of the problem solving regimen that I may not like. It may mean that, at every intersection I'm calling, I'm saying, I'm not going to go 3 hours without calling saying what's up. If I say that I'm going to the store, I'm calling you from the store. I might need to FaceTime. And some of you say, oh, I'm not doing all of that. Well, if you are the one that walked out on the initial commitment, then now you have to do whatever is communicated to just kind of get back. What you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that during this communication time, you have to be really clear with your partner on how you feel about the situation. Now is not the time to not communicate and not really express how you feel, how it made you feel, how it hurt you. The the betrayal of trust. This is somebody who you trust your life with, and they've done something to betray that. So you have to be completely honest, and you need to be clear on what you need from that person in order to rebuild the trust.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
That has to be communicated clearly, in order for it to even begin. Even though it might be uncomfortable, for you, very emotional, and if that conversation gets to the point where the emotions are all over the place, you start to feel the anger, then maybe we do need to step back and put it to the side for a little bit until we both get our emotions in check, and we can sit down and have a very clear cut conversation on how we are going to move forward.
Now, and I totally agree with that. And the one thing that I would add to that is that if there is some trust issues, that leads to us having some unrest, and I wouldn't leave it for too long. So if you told me that you was going to be home by 10, and here it is 10 minutes after 12, and you just kind of, you rolling in at 10 after 12, after I've been calling you, blowing your phone up, you not answering your phone, and now you're going to come in. No, I'm probably not going to wait until morning. The moment that you walk in, I'm sitting here and I'm ready for you, and I'm waiting for you to, we're going to have this conversation tonight, because I don't want to go to sleep. And I mean, because now I'm probably not going to sleep because I'm frustrated, I'm irritated, I'm agitated, and I'm fuming on the inside. Anybody ever been there? I can just pause and just preach right here. Anybody ever been there? No, I'm not gonna do that. But we gotta definitely get to that place where we need to communicate. Can I just tell you that 75% of couples that have some trust issues, they blow it right here at this step, because they are not able to clearly articulate what it is that they're feeling, why they're feeling that way, and what needs to happen. So if I'm the one, I'm coming to the table and I messed up, I'm like, look, I apologize, on whatever I need to do to get you to trust me again, I'm willing to do. And so when I say that, I give her permission to create a plan that I must abide by, even if it's uncomfortable. Because when I get to this place of having to communicate, and kind of go back and say, well, look, we've been down this road before. What's your communication plan? Did you clearly articulate what it is that you will take and what you won't take? There's some non-negotiables in here. And normally, we will allow people to kind of cross a threshold one time. But you know what? After that one time, if I'm sensing, then maybe we really need to take a second thought. Let me pause here, station identification, to tell you that if you get to that place, that's when you really need to email hello@drderren.com, and you need to take our class. We do a class monthly that we would love to have you in. It is a 30-day marriage makeover, and we teach you how to make over your marriage in 30 days. There are tools that we use that has been tremendously successful. And we have countless numbers of couples who've gone through our course, and they are the better because of it. And so I want to just pause there. Drderren.com is sponsoring this podcast, and so we want to thank you for that. Okay, so I got to clearly communicate. Anything else we want to say about communicating? All right. Okay, so now let me just throw it out there and ask you all who are watching, if, number one, have you been in that place? If you've been in this place before, where there was some trust issues and you had to work to rebuild the trust, just throw us some hearts real quick and just let us know, hey, I've been there. All right, now for those of you that's been there before, how have you been successful at, because this is an opportunity to really help somebody. I wish we had a call-in feature where you could just kind of call in and we would put you live on the air, but I don't have that. So I have to just ask you, what did you do? Hey, Ora Dunham, how are you? Okay. All right. Anybody out there want to just kind of share?
Somebody's thinking people see this if they aren't friends with you.
I don't know. Can they?
If you tag people, they might be able to.
If I tag
they
them,
send them, they can send an inbox or private message.
if somebody share it, it's not going to just go to that person. Oh,
So if you tag people, their friends can see your post.
oh,
So if you tag somebody in the original post, their friends can they can see.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay. So Darla, I'm not real clear about all of that, but Shalon said that if I tagged you, then your friends can see it on your page. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what we got? All right. I need you to tell me what you did. We're gonna move forward, but I need you to tell me.
We might have to.
Okay, I'm gonna figure it out. But after this, I'm gonna do some editing and then I will upload it to my Dr.Derren YouTube page, and then people will be able to go right there and they'll be able to see it. So please subscribe to Dr.Derren on YouTube. Right now we are streaming live to Dr.Derren YouTube. We're streaming live on Twitter at Dr.Derren, Periscope at Dr.Derren. So we should be able to pull it. So for those of you that have been in this crazy space, and there was somebody said, I think it was my cousin, she said, I've been there and I acted a cold fool. Okay. All right. And so after we act a fool, we got to kind of come back, woosah, and then we got to just decide, because remember, we already decided that this thing just takes work. I mean, we already decided that this thing takes work, that it takes work. And so I'm here for the work. I'm here for the work. And the work is not always, it's not always easy, and it doesn't always feel good. There's going to be some times when you're going to want to knock somebody out. But after I get over the place of wanting to knock you out, I have to still decide that, you know what, we've made the decision that we will not be a part of the 50%. I'm not gonna let my marriage end in divorce because you out there acting a fool. I done put a lot of time. I'm not gonna. I don't care what happens with us right now. I done put a lot of time getting Chalon where she needs to be. So I'm not. Y'all don't send me no threatening hate emails. But we've got a lot vested here. Like we put a lot of time with each other in, and we're not going to allow the fact that there's some stuff. So I just decided that I'm just gonna come. I'm gonna tell you before you find out. And see, being a pastor of a church and going around preaching in different places, I come and tell her about women that I come in contact with before anybody else try to tell her. Chalon has friends everywhere. I don't want nobody to call her and be like, I saw Darren sitting, at the bar with somebody and this woman next to him. It just doesn't look good. The Bible teaches us to avoid the appearance of stuff that don't look right. So I'm not going to do that. That's just a commitment that I've made. Everything that I need, I can find it right here at home. So I'm not going to, kind of do that. So if you find that your spouse is lying about simple stuff, then we got to kind of pause and just kind of check some things and be like, why is it important? Do I act a fool that much that you scared to tell me the truth? So we're going to talk about that. So let's move forward. Are we ready to move over to the next one? All right. So we've considered the why, we've communicated clearly, and now we've got to make the hard decision that we're going to just forgive. I have to forgive you regardless of how bad it hurt me. If I'm married to you and we're deciding that, for better or for worse, in richer for poor, sickness and in health, that I'm going to be right there with you. If that really was not a lie, then I don't have no choice but to forgive you. There's a scripture, and we don't turn this session into a Bible study, but there's a scripture that says, how can I expect that the Father will forgive me if I'm not willing to forgive? And so sometimes we won't want to forgive our spouse, but we forgive that coworker that lies on us, that talks about us, and the girlfriends around the corner. We'll forgive everybody outside of the house faster than we will forgive the people that's right here. And so we really need to pause and just decide, you know what, I forgive you. And I need to articulate out of my mouth, hey, I forgive you of that. And so now let's really work to just kind of move this thing forward. Let's work so that we don't ever have to come back here again. Let's do the work so that, let's go through our plan. Let's work on the problem solving regiment that we've created to never be back at this place again. But I forgive you. Now, when I forgive you, there's some things that come along with forgiveness. I forgive you. If you believe in prayer, then, as a part of me forgiving you, I'm praying for you and I'm praying for my own self, because while I will articulate out of my mouth, hey, I forgive you, sometimes you will tell me that you forgive me, but then your actions show that, what, I'm sitting there asking, I'm sitting there because you treat me horrible. You don't want to talk to me. You don't want to be around me. You don't want to cook. You're going to come cook food for you. And so you're showing me by your demonstration that maybe you really didn't forgive me. So did you forgive me or didn't you forgive me? What you think?
I think you have to allow yourself the time and empower yourself to come to terms with what happened, so that you can get past the initial hurt and the feeling of betrayal, so that you can truly forgive. Because in this process, forgiveness is key.
And you know what I just thought about? Sometimes when you have the wrong people in your ear, this is not in my notes, but sometimes you will forgive, but because you have shared your business with people that couldn't handle your business. See, that's huge right there. And so they just like, no, because you called them, you called your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, your sister girl, your soror, your frat brother. You called them and dogged your spouse because of what they did and got them all emotionally tied to the situation. And now, you've moved on and they see y'all driving together, in your Beamer driving down the street with the top off. And they like, what's up with that? I thought we was mad with him. No. So you got to be careful when you decide to forgive. That's the reason why you can't tell everybody when you marry. Everybody cannot, especially your single friends. And some of y'all say, well, no, I got some single friends I can tell it all to. But you know what? Sometimes single people just don't understand the union. They don't understand. And so they like, girl, you crazy. I don't know why. I don't know why you hanging in there. Why, man, all these women out here, why you taking that? No, that's the reason why you got to be real careful about who you share stuff about your marriage with, because you decided to forgive, and now that there's still unforgiveness on their part, now that's affecting your ability to be true to what you said you was going to do. You said you was going to forgive, and so if I forgive, I have forgiven you. I have forgiven you. I articulate out of my mouth, hey, I forgive you, but I want to just kind of park here and just say, I forgave you, but don't think that I'm no fool. Don't think that that you can just do anything to me and I'm gonna come back. No, then we're gonna have to have a very different conversation after that, because no, it can't go down like that. But then if I continue to allow you to mistreat me and I never say anything, then where does the problem lie?
I think that also, as part of the forgiveness process, you are giving your spouse or the person that betrayed you the opportunity to learn and to grow from the offense that they committed. Because if they see you forgiven in that process, okay, well, maybe there is something in me that I need to fix, and I need to, so it's allowing them the opportunity to grow and to learn from the situation as well.
Absolutely. And so, did you forgive me or did you not? Did you forgive me? Because if you forgave me, you know what? Let's move on. We have apologized. We spent that time at 10 after 12. We yelled. We screamed. And then some of y'all that's just like, no, I don't do that. I'm not hollering. I'm not screaming. I'm not doing any of that. And then sometimes when, you try to hold them captive and you try to shut the shop down. And y'all know what I mean. You sitting up here, you went your way. I came back, and then you think you're gonna come in here and just be rubbing up on me. And so now the shop is shut down. And then did I really forgive you? If that is the case. So so you got to decide that you're just going to forgive. Can I just tell you, out of all of the steps, that step out of the 4 Number three is probably the most difficult because forgiveness is hard. Nobody ever said that it was going to be easy. You know, sometimes people will cut you to the red meat, you know, and I mean, just cut you so deep. And, you know, and normally the people that have access to that level, they have, you know, it's kind of like when you go, you have to have certain levels of security to get in certain places in different buildings. And so the person that you have allowed to have the keys, the person that have the level of security to your heart, when that person, see, there's some people that they will say something to you and you just like, oh, whatever, I don't care nothing about you in the first place. You ain't got to cook for me, you ain't got to clean for me, wash my clothes, I ain't got to sleep with you. And so I really could care less about what you think. Your opinion means nothing to me. But there's some folks like that person that's in the bed right next to you, your spouse. I mean, for your spouse to hurt you, that thing, it just cuts deep. And so when that person hurts you, it's a different kind of hurt. Mm-hmm. And so you really have, so that thing to just decide that I'm going to forgive, that's paramount. It's so key that you got to really spend some time there. It might mean that you need to call and talk to somebody, a trusted other, somebody that's been down that road before, somebody, you know, that's kind of rolling with you, your ace bon coon, your pastor, your therapist. You might need to talk to somebody to say, hey, I'm having trouble here. I want to forgive them. My heart says to forgive. I've articulated out of my mouth that I want to forgive, but I still feel some kind of way. And so you might need some help kind of working through that. But then the last thing. So we've got through 3 steps. The last thing, you can't dwell on it and you got to move on. So when I'm rebuilding trust, I cannot dwell, because see what happens is that you did something in January. Y'all working through your process of 90 days or 120 days. And now as soon as they do something that you don't like, you bringing up what happened. Well, you know what? Just you lucky I let you come back. You lucky I let you sleep in here up on this purple mattress. My 900 thread count sheets. You lucky that I let you come back. Well, why are you going there? I thought that we dealt with that in January, and I have really worked my plan, and I've done everything that I said that I was going to do based on the plan that we created together. And so why do you want to keep throwing it up in my face that my stuff, you know, that I had a misfortune? And so I cannot dwell. One of the worst things that you can do to your spouse is to tell them that you're over it and you forgive them and we're going to move on. And then as soon as something happens, you want to throw it up in their face. You know, this is the reason why, you know, I couldn't trust you in the first place. This is the reason why. No. If I say that we've dealt with it and we're over it, remember, you know, I have what I say. So when I articulated it out of my mouth, I gave life to it. And now the Holy Ghost breathes on it. And now it pushes us, it kind of launches us forward into that next place. And so I really need to just decide that I'm going to move forward. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to trust that, you know what, we're good. And I just can't stay there. I cannot stay there. I'm about a good work. Right. And when I'm about a good work, you're not going to pull me back down into that place where I was. Because remember, see, you know, a lot of this is it is a demonic force. You know, please, sir, please, ma'am, do not think that everybody is excited about the fact that y'all 17 years in. Y'all 7 months in. Some people didn't give you 7 minutes or 7 days, but now you 7 years, 7 months, you a year, celebrating a year anniversary. Go ahead on with your bad self. Bravo to you, because I get that marriage is hard. It's difficult. And so if you're able to just kind of hang on in there, you know, you have what it takes to do it, but don't dwell on it. What you going to say about that, babe?
I think you pretty much covered it again. But just remember that when you decide to give your relationship a second chance, that means you're making the decision to trust them again. So you have to be careful. And, you know, like Dr. Derren said, bringing it back up. And even you have to be careful. Now, if part of your plan to rebuild trust is not for your husband, you know, for your spouse to check in at different times of the day. Now, if that's not part of your plan, you have to be real careful about doing that. because then you're saying to them, I really don't trust
Right.
you and I haven't moved on.
That's good,
So
girl. That's good.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you got to be careful about doing that. But just remember that you decide to give the relationship a second chance, that means you trust your partner.
And so what you may need to do as you are going back when we're communicating clearly and you're going back and you're kind of writing out, look, this is the restoration plan. Make sure that you put some thought into that.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to say, just for me, and I trust that because we're at this place and because you've said that you would never do that again and that you would never hurt me like that, I trust that because you've said that, that's the truth. But for me, just for me, and see, you got to be real clear about who you are. And for some of us, just you saying that, while that should be enough, just you saying that sometimes may not be enough. And I need to be okay with the fact that it might not be enough for you. So I'm willing, because I have articulated out of my mouth that, you know what, I'm willing to do this. And so because I've articulated it, and so think about it. And so don't get frustrated if, as a part of the restoration plan, a part of the plan says that, you're going to call and you're going to check in at several times throughout the day. If I've not heard from you and I call, I cannot say, why you keep calling me? What you calling me for? What you don't trust? No. Say less. I do not need all of that. I'm checking in with you because there's something on the inside of me that sometimes just says, you know what, I need to check on them. And you ought to really be happy to have somebody that love you enough to say, you know what, I want the best for us. And the best for us, we both get to say what the best for us is. It's not one of those things where I just say, no, we're not going to, it's got to be my way. No, we're not going to do that. What needs to happen is that we've created a plan that we're going to move forward with together. And then there may be sometimes, and I wish I had my red flag. Anybody on here, you've done counseling with us, Chalon and I believe in the red flag, that sometimes you've got to wave the red flag and you've got to say, hold up. Something is just off. We met on this date. Take some notes. We met and we said that this was what we were going to do. And I'm sensing a disconnect. And so I got to wave the red flag to get us to just stop and kind of revisit. Sometimes my restoration plan may need to be adjusted. Sometimes we got to make some adjustments because now maybe I'm traveling and, maybe, you're traveling or you're doing this and you got 5 meetings a week. And well, actually in COVID, we probably not doing all of that, but you got all these Zoom calls and all of that. But we really need to just kind of take some time and pause. And sometimes we have to do that. I mean, we have to do that. You're on. Can everybody just put in the chat a number? Just tell me how many years in are you in your marriage? How many years have you been married? Just give me a number so that I can speak to it as we get ready to close. Just give me a number. Just give me a number. How many years? How many years? How many years? Yeah. How many years? Yeah. I got my Periscope peeps. How many years on Periscope? How many years on Facebook, YouTube? Y'all tell me how many years you have been married. Y'all moving slow. All right, 22. 8. Yes. Yes, 8. 5. Yes. 20 years. 16 years. Excellent. So look, guess what? You already know that you've been married long enough to know that we gotta just pause and we gotta just do it. Sometimes 8 months. Yes, 8 months. I was there for that 8-month wedding. Praise God. So you know what? Can I just tell you, for those, from the youngest to the oldest, can I just tell you that it gets easier with time? Those early years, y'all know my testimony. First year was great. Second year, all hell broke loose for us. I mean to tell you, all hell. Can you say hell on this podcast? Well, yeah, all hell broke loose. I mean, I was very immature. Chalon, what y'all remember the day, the 20 year people, y'all remember the days of pagers? Chalon used to wear my pager out. She used to call. She used to page 911. She ain't want nothing, just page 911. And I was just like, I don't feel like talking to you. Stop calling me. just immature, just didn't understand, just
36
immature.
years.
36 years.
Mhm.
Wow, Kim. Awesome.
Mhm.
So look, what really, as we get ready to close, the end thing here is simple. That when trust is broken, trust can be restored.
Yes.
Trust can be restored,
Mhm.
but you have to be willing. Remember, we live our lives in agreement. See, you can't be married and decide that we're going to agree to disagree. Remember, we talked early on about that. When you marry, I can't do that because the scripture teaches me, how can we live together? How can we walk together, stand together, roll together, except we agree?
Right.
There is an agreement principle in scripture that if we would follow the agreement principle, then our best days will definitely be ahead of us. And so I'm so grateful. So look, that's all I need to tell you today. But I got to tell you this: we have been getting tremendous feedback from the sex series, and it seems like that's all everybody want to talk about. When y'all gonna bring that sex series back? And so, moving forward, I have some guests that I'm trying to get I got some guests that I'm gonna get to come on, some sexologists, some sex therapists, and I got to work my sponsorships to get people to sponsor the broadcast, because those people you have to pay them to come on. But I'm getting ready to, because I want you to be blessed from a sexual perspective. And so, because you have asked for it, we're going to come back. We're going to give you all that. We're going to give you all that we got. Because some of y'all, you too tight and you're too stiff. And, one of the sessions is going to be, what happens when my drive is a lot deeper than my spouse's drive? Because there's some bros whose drive isn't stronger. But I wrote down some of the titles that we getting ready to roll with. But frequency, um, uh, uh, you know, I can't. I don't think I can say that.
You can say it.
I'm a freak, but my spouse is not. Types that's comfortable. What is that?
Probably uncomfortable.
Oh, types, things that's uncomfortable, or how do I get comfortable in my own body? So we getting ready to give it to y'all. We getting ready to give you what you asked for. And so we're grateful for that. Thank you so much for joining tonight. If you enjoyed this broadcast, please do me a favor and tell somebody. If you would like it, you would share it. If you would subscribe to Dr. Derren on YouTube. And we're getting ready. We're probably going to come up with a different name, because when you look at drderren.com, you don't know that my wife is here, and there is no drderren.com without my wife. So we're going to probably come up with a different name for our official podcast. Y'all have any suggestions, y'all throw it out there for us. But we're going to do that. So look, thank you so much for sharing, for joining with us. Know that we pray for God's richest blessings and for your union to continue to grow. Can I just tell you that your union is so much better, and it's so much stronger when you're able to do it together. So we pray and we declare the favor of God over your life. We declare that victory is going to be yours. We declare that God will dot every I and cross every T for your marriage, and that you won't make the small things major, and you won't make the major stuff small, but that you would have what you need to just kind of deal with it. Know that we love you. God loves you more, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a fantastic evening. Now go grab you some dinner. That's what we about to do. Go grab some dinner. All right, y'all. See y'all later.